All right. Well, good evening, everyone. This is Real Estate Unleashed with Agents of Change. I am your host. I'm Lola Slater. So we're going to wait a couple of moments. Tag a friend, tell a friend. We're going live today, and we're going to talk about, as promised, we're going to talk about have our guest on today. His name is Mr. Daniel Pete of Apex Mortgage, and I've been getting a lot of requests. People wanting to know about what about that 0% interest rate? Can I still sell my home? Can I still buy my home? So you guys tag a friend, tell a friend that we're going to get all those questions answered that you guys have been thinking about that have arisen during this pandemic and at the start of it when the feds cut the tax rate to 0%. So if you're someone who you're thinking about selling and you want to know, will that 0% help your home be sold quicker, or if you're someone who is still thinking in the market to buy and you're thinking about how can that 0% help me, and bring all your questions. So tag a friend, tell them, it's Lola Slater with Real Estate Unleashed with Agents of Change, and we're about to go live. I'm going to give us like another 30 seconds. Hi, tell me hi, everybody, drop a comment, a chat. Let me know who's joining us so I can recognize you, because I appreciate every single week you guys join in and support and bring your questions. Thanks for all the referrals and all the questions that come through post every event. Every live segment, you guys send great questions, great feedback. So again, tag a friend, tell them this is Real Estate Unleashed with Agents of Change. And I'm about to bring on our guest, Mr. Daniel Pete.
I'm having a terrible connection. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes, we can hear you,
Can
Mr.
you?
Pete. Yes.
Okay.
So you
I
stay
can
where
hear you
you
better
are.
now.
Great. All right. Let's stay in a good area. So how are you today?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
Uh-oh. So how are you today? Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. I'm doing great.
Awesome. Awesome. So just tell everybody your name, tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll start with some questions.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Daniel Pete. I work for Apex Mortgage. Just to let you know, I've been in the business for 23 years. Been doing financing, home purchases, things of that nature, USDA, VA. So I'm well versed on a lot of the programs and products that's out here. And basically, I'm just here to help any way I can. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I've been living in the DMV for all my life. So I do know a lot of the areas, and I just consider myself an open book. If I don't have the answer, I'll find the answer for you.
All right,
Keep it
awesome,
simple.
awesome, awesome. So you guys, we have over 20 years of experience on with us right now. So this will be a great time to tag your spouse, tag your friend, your parents, whoever you know that's in the market to sell their home or buy the home. And just for yourself, just unsure if you're a real estate agent and maybe you haven't had a conversation with your loan originator, and maybe you're at a point where you just don't know how to get that pipeline moving. You have buyers who you were working with, or you had sellers who were, about to or already signed that listing agreement or that buyer agreement, and they no longer want to move forward because of the current condition and environment with the pandemic. So this is a great time and a great opportunity for you, all real estate agents, to get on right now, ask your questions, and really just get the truth. And let's bring some value to one another. And we'll start, Mr. Pete, we have to start, of course, with the 0% interest rate. There was the feds did a tax cut or rate cut to 0%. And I was just overwhelmed with calls as a realtor. So I can't imagine, on your end, how many calls you receive. So if you can just share what that really meant and what it means to the mortgage industry.
Okay. Basically, 0% is all about a person want to borrow money on. Or we can just say, even if it's from France or China, they're easier to get more because there's no interest on that money that you're getting. That has nothing to do with the interest rate. That's just interest on how you could get money. Just like if you go to the bank or whatever the case may be, or credit card, the less the interest rate is or whatever. So it's just about how much you can get for your money. That's what that is. Now, the current interest rate is decent, but please understand when you have a volatility situation like we do right now with the COVID-19, Banks are strapped. And what I mean by that is in terms of money. So therefore, the federal government had to bail them out to make sure that they had money to keep afloat. That being said, let's say if you have a 3.62 interest rate, before this happened, 3.62 interest rate could very well give you like some 4 points. Would that mean that that's money in the credit, to the buyers or whatever the case may be? Now, let's say 3.62, you're lucky if you have any credit at all to give. So people don't understand that. So that means that your interest rate may have to go up to 4.25 just to try to get some money. In a lot of cases, they were stripping basically all the money off. It's coming back now, but the 0% had nothing to do with your interest rate exactly, just how much a person can buy money for without having to pay that interest back, and that's on a higher level.
Okay.
Okay, and then send the credit down to us. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So guys,
All right.
so let me just ask just a clarifying question, or just to make sure. So the 0% was about the rate at which money can be borrowed. So was that from the banks to the federal government?
Correct. From the buyer. That's
Okay.
correct. Right. And see, and that's how that works. And then the interest rate to us is just it's different. It's different. It's just that we may just have an opportunity to get a lower rate for the borrower, okay, because basically that rate may not cost as much as normal.
For you guys to get. Mm-hmm.
So if it was 3%, for example, 3.62% wouldn't even be on the table. We'd be looking at like 4.5%. So that's what that means. Okay, so everybody always get confused when they see that. They ready to run out. Say, hey, I'm on that. No, that don't exist. They haven't existed yet. I don't think it will.
All right, so you guys clarifying, it's established you cannot purchase a home at a 0% interest rate. No bank is going to give you a 30-year mortgage, 15-year mortgage, and not charge you anything over that period of time. That was for the rate at which the bank can borrow money from the federal government. All right. So the impacts, though, that it had to the buyer, right? And this is really good for listing agents and sellers to know, because the seller needs to understand, people who understand what's going on with the market. If you're a seller, you'll be confident that you can still get your home off the market. The days on the market, can still go quickly, with this, the impact that 0% had to the real estate or mortgage industry, right? The banking industry specifically. So with that, if you're a seller, you can sell because the buyers are able to get 3.625s and under 4% interest rates. Okay. What does it mean for the buyer? It means, Mr. Pete mentioned not being able to give as much credit to the buyer. All right. We all know that you can get credit as a buyer. The seller can give credit, and the lender can give closing cost credit. So sellers need to be aware, agents, that if this may impact the amount of money that they will need in seller credit. Because if the bank is unable to give a higher credit, lender's credit, it means that buyer may still need that extra money. So the seller, when you're sitting down and you're talking to your agents, agents, when you're sitting down and you're talking to your sellers and you're having that conversation and doing their net sell sheet, you want to be able to consider, hey, maybe before you only wanted to give 1% because of the programs available on the market, because that the lender can give the lender credit. But in today's climate, because of the impact that 0% had, yes, buyers get a lower interest rate, meaning they can afford more house. However, they're going to have to bring more money to the table. So maybe we can make up a little bit more, be more giving and the seller's credit. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. If there's anyone, any agent that needs clarification on how to have that talk, I'm here to have it. And Mr. Pete is as well. I'm not sure
if anybody can really understand you. At least I can't.
On your end. Okay. Well, I'm getting likes, so I think they can hear me.
Your picture is from.
Okay, we lost Mr. Pete. I hope that his reception gets better and he comes back. I hope that he can come back. That was a really good information that he shared with us about the 0% and the impact that it actually has to. All right, I think we got him back. All right, we got you back.
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, great. Great. All right. So, but yeah, that was excellent information. I see, Daniel, you fell off, and some of my viewers fell off. They were like, "Oh, the information man is gone." So
No, we can't have that.
I know you got to get your connection right, right? So,
Oh my goodness.
what advice would you give to like just listing agents, like I said, with pending deals? So if they had a buyer who previously had a pending deal, the buyer was coming through and maybe was going to get some down payment assistance, okay, but that program may no longer be funded. What advice do you give to the listing
I
agent?
don't know. Unfortunately, I can't understand. It sounds like you every time you talk. It
Can't
sounds
hear.
like music. This is it's kind of
All
yeah.
right, let's see. Let's get Mr. Pete to adjust. He can't. Let me see how we can get him to come back on. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties with Mr. P. I know this is a really important topic, and being able to know how to, what to do, because so many people are in limbo right now, and and have that question: should I still sell? Should I still list? What can I do? And so let me try to get Mr. P back on with us, and see if it will help him to be able to come on and be clear. And if not, if you're an agent, give me some more questions. I'll send them all to him. I have him do a recording and post it, because it's important to know, how do we get our sellers to move? How do we get our buyers to buy? Who should you be targeting right now? If you are, maybe you're having problems with the sellers and you want to switch to focusing on buyers, and that's perfectly okay. And if doing that, like, who should you target? Who's an essential employee? Who's still employed? Yes, there are, just hundreds of thousands of people who are at home right now and impacted by COVID-19, but there are still so many people who are essential, who get up and go to work every single day. And these people should be the people that you still have conversations with about being able to buy a home and about being able to sell their home, because they have not been financially impacted where they're unable to buy. So who's your target market right now? Who have you been focusing on? Who's in your sphere of influence? How are you, who are you focusing on? And so the market of real estate is still alive and vibrant. It's just going to take an agent, to be creative, to step outside of your normal, your usual, your comfort box, right? That we all get in, I'm included. So it's just going to take some time to be able to. So we have some questions. Hey, Britton, like you. Okay, I see. And James, what advice do you have for buyers looking to get loans, but because of the circumstance, two things affecting them? I'm waiting for your two things to pop up. Let me see if they have been furloughed or lost employment. All right, Daniel.
Yes, I'm back again.
Okay, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, very clear.
Okay. Great, because everybody can. All right, so we have two questions that came up. James P. Courtney asks, what advice do you have for buyers looking to get loans, but because of the circumstances, two things are affecting them. They have been furloughed or lost employment. They have no income, and they had a score, and now lenders have increased credit score to qualify. That's a really, really, really good question, James. So Daniel, I'll let you go ahead and take a shot at that.
Well, unfortunately, you just started sounding like music again. But if you all can hear me, when it comes to like furlough loans and so forth, yeah, that is always going to be difficult. And the main reason is because it's all about your employer, whether or not they're going to give you something to state that, okay, well, they just furloughed for a while and it's going to continue until such date. So which means that you're going to need something to have a specific date of that furlough where it's going to be uplifted, because they have to be able to account for, the amount of money that you're going to make, whether it's now or in the future. Yes, it doesn't mean that you can't look for a home or anything, but to get the actual approval on that home, you have to show income coming in. The fact that you furlough, that means that you're probably not getting what you would normally get in terms of your finances, whether it's monthly or whatever the case may be. So it's going to affect your overall picture. So the only thing I can suggest at a point like that is still look, and stay in contact with HR or with your company and try to find out when they think that they're going to be able to start bringing you guys back in. And of course, I think they're doing just like everyone else is doing, is looking at the news and trying to see, what information they can get so they can start making some decisions, on their company, when to bring people back into the buildings or off a furlough, if you will.
Yeah. And that brings another good question, a follow-on question to James' question. And that is, so say, all right, you're furloughed and say, now bills are taking an impact.
You're back doing the music thing again. Oh, this is funny.
Okay. I don't know, Daniel, but can you hear me at all now?
Say something again.
So can you hear me clearly now?
Nah, it's still kind of crazy. Okay. So I do apologize for this technical difficulty here.
It's okay. We can hear you. But look at his second question. He said they had a score. Now lenders have increased the credit score quality.
I'm even trying to go outside to try to get a better signal, but I'm not sure.
It's not working. So can you hear me now, Daniel?
No, you're still not.
Daniel's reception, you guys, is not doing him any justice today. And this is a very important topic. We are so anxious to know. James, we want to get your question answered. I'm going to send your question to Daniel. And again, I'm going to have to do a recording to answer questions, to talk about these things. Unfortunately, where he works in his building, his reception isn't really good. But, like I said, I'm definitely going to. Yeah, you're coming off and going in, Daniel. If we're going to send you some questions, and if you could record, and I'm going to post it and make it available so it's uninterrupted. And, what he talked about and asked about is, banks now having a higher score needed now, a higher qualification for people to get loans. I thought about it, a follow-on question.
640 and above.
Yeah, and I saw an article earlier today. I believe it was Chase or something like that. Wanting I think also a 700 credit score, something that was really ridiculous in terms of affordability, right? And you don't have to have a 700 to mean that you can afford to buy a home. So what impact can you foresee banks with these restrictions happening? For people who, if you were furloughed and you became late on your bills a couple of months, how can those remarks or that time be explained? How will banks be accepting of saying, hey, well, from March or April to I don't know, 2-3 months out, if they can letters, how can that be forgiven, or how can I explain? Will that prevent someone in the future who, once they aren't furloughed, to be able to get a job again during this time? Can they explain that?
Right. So that's a difficult, but it's a good question. Well, the good thing is, like, let's use FHA, for example. FHA do have what is considered compensating factors. And that, in this case, would be a compensating factor. That would be an extenuating circumstance that you could not, control. This is way beyond any of our control. So they will take that in consideration. But a point you made that they would also have to keep in mind, if you always paid your bills on time, that's great. That means because they got something to go back for the next 12 or 15 months, if you will. So that's very important right there. So you can't just say, okay, the reason why is this, and then they go back, another 6-12 months. It look like you've been having these same kind of issues. So was it this, or this is an ongoing situation? And one other thing I wanted to share, I do have a lender. We still do go down to 620 in some cases. So I'm fortunate to still have a lender that will do 620. But I would prefer somebody to be over 640, because the lower the credit score is, the more it costs. Okay, so which means that I wouldn't be able to help or borrow out at all, if they needed some lender's credit. Okay, so the lower the score, the more it costs for that rate, that kind of thing. So please keep that in mind.
Okay. Yep. And James, I saw your other comment about 700 plus scores. Yeah, I did see that. So it's important, there's you have direct lenders like banks like Chase and Bank of America, or maybe you're with a credit union. Those are direct lenders. They have the money. Then you have mortgage companies who actually have multiple wholesale banks that they actually fund deals from. So it gives you more options. Okay. So as Daniel just shared, he can get a someone with a 620, or he can, I muted him just for the background, Daniel, but he can have someone with a 620 credit score, or it can be someone that has, he prefers a 640. But when you go through a mortgage company, you have options. If you just go to your credit union, if you just go to your local bank, that's it. They don't go out and look for you for multiple deals. Either you meet their criteria or you don't. So even on the listing side, if you're a listing agent and you're looking at their pre-approval, you want to know and see, are they with a direct bank? Are they with a mortgage company? Because if things go south, right, with all the guidelines changes, like, don't be afraid to say, hey, the buyer's agent, is your buyer open to getting an approval with this specific mortgage company or this specific lender? Give them some options, right, so that you can have a backup. And I do it in new home sales all the time. If anyone has experience in new home sales, that buyer can purchase, bring their own or use their own lender. However, they ensure that they're already pre-approved through their in-house lender. Okay. So it's okay to ask as a listing agent, to get that security and that assurance, especially in today's market. The buying side should be understanding. Okay. Because you want to protect the deal. As the buyer's agent, as the seller's agent, our job is to get that deal to the table. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients. So be open with one another during this time, realtors, to have the talk, to extend that olive branch, to be able to provide solutions so that you can ensure that deal gets to the table, that your client is satisfied as the seller, and also that for the buyer, the seller agent, they want to make sure that their buyer client is satisfied. So mortgage company versus bank, keep your options open, and agents encourage your clients to keep their options open. I'm going to take Daniel's mic off mute. And Daniel, so can you explain the difference in a forbearance and government-backed loans?
Well, forbearance, basically, that's an agreement that you make with your lender. So what they're doing is they're agreeing to maybe put some of that at the back. So in other words, it could be like 3 or 4 payments. So they may put that 3 or 4 payments at the back, so you don't have to pay it. So that's the agreed upon with the forbearance. And what was the other question? Sorry about that.
So government-backed loans. Can you explain, I guess, the government-backed loans, and how does the forbearance impact the government-backed loans different from non-government-backed loans?
Well, when you say government-backed loan, you talking about like an FHA loan? I want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah.
Well, even FHA, they all can do forbearance. It doesn't matter. They can all do forbearance if you let them know whatever your hardship is. And then that lender would say, okay, well, great. What we'll do is we allow you to skip 3 to 4 months of payments, but we're going to put them in the back, while you're going through what you're going through. Because a lot of these companies are putting out their forbearance disclosures now. And I'm sure everybody has their own different, way of approaching the forbearance. But that's mainly what the forbearance is. So it's still there, your money, but they will help you some kind of way to put it in the back.
Okay.
And,
so
Go
ahead. No, elaborate. Go ahead.
Right. I'm like, even in some cases, even if they could, lower the monthly amount that you make, or whatever the case may be, they'll do something, but everyone is a little different. But the most important part is they will try to put it in the back so you don't have to worry about it up front.
Okay, awesome. So, you guys, a forbearance is available. I've switched, and we kind of transitioned into, if you're in your home and, maybe you have plans to sell in the future, and now you're hitting a hardship, and, you don't want to be delinquent on your mortgage, you can actually get the forbearance. The forbearance goes on the back of the term. So if it's a 30-year mortgage, you're due to pay off your mortgage in 2035, let's say, right? In January 2035. If they do the forbearance, well, your last payment won't be January 2035. It'll be April 2035. So maybe I've seen some type of, there's so much misinformation going out. A forbearance, actually places the payments on the back. Is that correct, Mr. Pete?
That's correct. Absolutely correct.
It does not mean, so is there a difference in a forbearance and a deferment?
Well, I mean, deferred payment is almost like the same thing, because you're deferring it because you're not paying it right now. But the thing of it is, the interest is still going to be the same. So it's really relatively the same, just a play on words.
Okay,
Mhm.
so if you guys have been thinking, if you get a forbearance on your payment or a deferred, I mean, this is for mortgage or any of your bills, right? Guys. So
Mhm.
you don't have to. It's not going to be due. A balloon payment will be due. In 2 months. If they say, hey, you can get 2 months forbearance or 2 months deferment, it doesn't mean that in 2 months you're going to have to pay 1, 2, 3 months. That's misinformation. It means that it goes on the back. It extends the the end date, or the end date would have been for your mortgage agreement. So make sure you ask that clarifying question. That this just means extends when you would have been done. Like if you're paying off a car, you'll be done in June. If it's deferred 2 months now, you won't be done till August. So you can do
Right.
the same thing with your mortgage. To defer it or put in payments and forbearance, so that you're still in a position to sell. That's
Right.
it.
And I strongly recommend that you get with your lender and explain to them your circumstances, which they pretty much know what it is right now, so that they can give you the details of how they approach the forbearance, because all lenders aren't the same. So you definitely have to go to your current lender and see what they are offering for forbearance.
Absolutely. And I think James Courtney just, kind of said, making sure it's not a balloon payment. Again, asking that clarifying question, is it extending
Mhm.
the months? And what I've seen in my experience, it's the extension of months and not a balloon due at the end of the term of the loan. Um,
Mhm.
and if you're in a home, you get in a home and you are having, you plan on, most people sell their home within, under less than 10 years, right? But in any event, if you are in your home for 30 years and, you don't want to have a balloon payment on any type of bill, I would recommend, right? So just ask that clarifying question. Is it just extending the long term? And one last thing before I let Mr. Pete go, while we have him in good connection for a couple more moments, hopefully, right? Is about down payment assistance programs, right? So if you're a seller, and again, this kind of piggybacks off of a question earlier, as far as if you're an agent and you're in the middle of a deal and maybe, the buyer was getting down payment assistance, how do you ask that question? How do you bring that up to protect the deal and not violate any real estate laws, right? And can you tell us, Mr. Pete, how down payment programs have been affected, and also what alternatives your mortgage company may have specifically?
Yeah, yeah. Well, definitely, it's been impacted a great deal, because that's always another way to save the borrower money up front. So yes, it has been. I've seen some programs like go away because they just don't have the financial backing, to help in that regard. Like for example, I use one that generally you can get like 4 or 5 and a quarter. Can't get that right now. I mean, it's available, but it's not worth it. But we still have one that's 6 and a quarter, which is still there. But it's good for somebody who can afford a 6 and a quarter rate, and then after another 6 months down the road, they can always refinance it into a lower rate once the market gets back. So you have that. You still have the Maryland programs. It's still out there, but they are very, very, very hard to get right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing. Is that's a difficult market right now. It's not as competitive because there's not a lot out here. So we just have to search. So we don't have all the answers yet. They keep on updating us. They'll let us know more, when others will come available. So it's really dicey. So, but if you do have a bar that is looking or do need help, you know, bring them to me or whoever you're working with, and let's see what they could find out there for them once you understand their circumstances. I mean, they may have money, they may not have a lot of money. We're trying to get them what they need, to make the deal work. Mhm.
Okay. All right. So, you guys, again, I'm just going to mute so you guys don't hear an echo, but he's offering some really great alternatives, and being able to, like he said, explore your options, talk through it. There are in-house programs, there are government funded programs. So even when you can have a hit on the government funded programs, there's still some alternatives and options available with your in-house lender. So ask the question. Ask the question, open up, don't think that the deal is dead. If you are the buyer's agent or the listing agent, do not think that your deal is dead. Be able to explore, ask questions, not to just whoever pre-approved, but ask everybody. Ask another lender, ask another realtor, ask everybody, so that you can have some options and you can save your deal. That's ultimately your job, to save your deal. And that's what you really want to focus on. And so as he shared, you have government programs, you have state, county, and then you also have in-house programs. And the in-house programs, again, the banks are borrowing money for 0%. So their programs, of course, if they're able to, the interest rates for their programs are set most times. So, they are still pushing their programs, and, for you to be able to get that in-house finance. And so don't be afraid, you guys, to ask and to explore your options. Okay. Mr. Pete, I want to bring you back on for any final statements. Thank you so much for everything that you shared. Can you leave us with some final statements, some contact information for you?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to go to my car. My phone about to die. So you have to excuse me. Give me a second here. Got to plug this in. All right, answer. Now, what did you say again? I apologize.
No, was just saying, do you have any final comments, anything that, you want to leave anybody with, and also give your information, how anyone can contact you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say stay positive and believe that there's a lot of deals still out here to be had. There's a lot of people that still have jobs that is full time. So just don't get too caught up in the numbers that we're looking at, 6.6 million unemployed. If it's 6.6 million unemployed, you got 300-some million people in the world. So we still got a lot of people out here. So we got to be mindful of that and still go out there, still stay motivated, to get your numbers, whatever your number is. Okay. And yes, and if you want to reach me or have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My number, and I'll give you my email address as well. My number is 443-577-8956. And my email address is D as in David, P as in Paul, E as in Edward, E as in Edward again, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, .apex, APEX, @gmail.com.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Pete. And look, now we have no echo. Your reception is good when you finally sit in the car. Well, thanks for sitting in the car at the end of our live.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. I need to be in my car.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining today. And like I said, as promised, we had Mr. Pete on to talk about the money. It's very important. No one, I don't like going to the mall and window shopping. I don't know about you. However, I feel that first things first, and just truly understanding the financial market right now, so that if you are a seller, you can take action and know that you can still sell your home today. As he shared, there's still, 300 plus million people still employed, who are essential, who are going to work every single day. So let that be your target. Let's be creative as realtors in how we advertise and who we're advertising to. Who's still clicking and looking for a home to buy? Okay, so let our intentions and our marketing be intentional. And let us really focus on those essential employees, and give your seller that ease of knowing they can still sell their home. And if you're a buyer, and you are essential, and you have questions about wanting to find different monies, there's in-house with the lender. Check with your local lender that you're working with, and also you can reach out to Mr. Pete as well. And if you are someone who has been impacted, we want to be able to help you down the line, be able to protect your credit, and be able to, even if your score takes an impact, there's some circumstances, some qualifying reasons, or I'm getting the term mixed up right now, Mr. Pete, but he described it. There's some letter of explanations that can be written on your behalf to explain what occurred and why this extenuating circumstances. Thank you, sir. So, there are options. The real estate market, you guys, don't be discouraged. Still focus on your goals, and make sure, as realtors, we're asking the right questions, being a solution providing a solution to our clients. We're working with one another, keeping the communication open. And as any, I always open that you guys can email me, call me, text message me. I'm here to serve and just bring value to our local community. And that's what Real Estate Unleashed with Agents of Change is all about, coming together to bring you guys education, experience, and all things real estate to execute your goals. So I'm Lola Slater. I'm going to sign off. And again, I have to just thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Mr. Pete. And everybody have a great evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you.